We are finally back in the Wasteland for the Season 2 premiere, The Man Who Knew. It picks up exactly where it ended in Season 1, with Lucy and The Ghoul hunting Hank MacLean across the Mojave, while Norm is stuck in Vault 31, and we have finally reached New Vegas. But this episode is just filled with lore, shoutouts to the games, and even stuff that was cut from the original New Vegas game, which you have probably never seen before. Obviously, a huge spoiler warning for the Season 2 premiere, so if you haven't watched it, turn back now. The episode opens in the past, but it's not the shiny, happy 1950s suburbia we got used to in the first season. This is a pre-war timeline on the absolute brink of collapse. We are witnessing a violent strike against Robco Industries, and the visuals are just striking, with angry workers holding signs like "Robot Scab" and "On Strike" while smashing robots with baseball bats, which is such a perfect on-the-nose metaphor for the man versus machine conflict that drives this whole universe. But the real meat of this scene isn't the riot itself, it's who is watching it. While Fred Astaire's Cheek to Cheek plays ironically in the background with that classic Fallout vibe, we cut from a Robco placard on a TV screen to a dive bar, where we see Robert House giving a smug interview about efficiency and international disputes. Now, remember in Season 1, we saw a quick cameo of Mr. House played by Rafi Silver during that boardroom meeting? Well, forget that, because we are introduced to the real deal here, or at least a new version of him, played by the incredible Justin Theroux. He brings this intense, breathy delivery that makes your skin crawl, and the casting choice is fascinating because they are clearly playing with the idea of public versus private personas. Silver is the face on the TV, but Theroux is the man in the booth pulling the strings. Theroux's version of House is watching the interview and telling the angry workers that they actually voted him into power with their dollars, claiming he has more votes than anyone in Washington, simply because he has all the money, which lines up perfectly with the reclusive libertarian autocrat we know from the Fallout New Vegas game, who ruled from the Lucky 38 without anyone seeing his real face for centuries. And did you catch that specific reference he makes to the construction worker? He asks about the H&H nail gun, calling it a marvelous machine with smooth action, which is such a deep cut because in the lore, H&H Tools Company was owned by Anthony House, Robert's unstable half-brother who stole his inheritance. It's a nod to the family trauma that created this tycoon. House literally asks Bill to punch him in the face just to see what it feels like because he's never used his hands for violence and thinks he might enjoy the sensation. But things get dark so fast. He lures them past a Radiation King truck to his futuristic blue sports car, shows them $31 million like it's pocket change, and offers them a deal to be guinea pigs for a market research experiment. This is our first look at the brain-computer interface implant chip, or basically a mind control chip. He slaps this spider-looking gadget onto a guy's neck where it latches on mechanically, and with a remote that looks like a toy with a dial and a red button, he turns this violent striker into a mindless drone who murders his friends on command with a baseball bat. And because this is Fallout, House cranks the dial too high, and the guy's head pops like a melon. But the line House delivers, "The world may end, but progress marches on," while holding a piece of skull with the chip attached, basically sums up the show. Vault-Tec and Robco don't care about the apocalypse as long as they control the ashes. This mind control tech is clearly going to be the MacGuffin of the season, much like the cold fusion was in Season 1, because we see it pop up again later in the episode. Fast forward to the present, and we are in the Mojave Wasteland. The show wastes no time hitting us with nostalgia, because we are at the Dino D-Light Motel in Novak. Seeing Dinky the dinosaur in live action, looking almost exactly like he does in the game, minus the thermometer, and facing a slightly different direction, is a dream come true. Seeing this landmark, which is actually based on the real-life Cabazon dinosaurs known as Mr. Rex and Denny near Palm Springs, brought to live action is incredible. They even added a pool, which is a nice touch for the desert heat. They staged the entire opening action sequence around him, and even have Lucy perched right inside Dinky's mouth with a sniper rifle and dog meat, or CX-404, which is exactly where the companion Boone and Manny Vargas hang out in the game. The showrunners even nod to the town's name coming from a broken "no vacancy" sign, where only Novak is lit up. It's a beautiful nod to the mechanics of New Vegas. And we even see a Nuka-Cola vending machine down below, just to really sell the vibe. So, if you ever spent hours picking off Legion soldiers from that exact spot, this scene was made specifically for you. But the situation is dire. The Ghoul is strung up by his wrists in the courtyard by the Great Khans, another major faction led by a guy named Hancho. These aren't just generic raiders. The Khans have history going back to Fallout 1, and are an offshoot of the new Khans from Fallout 2. And seeing their skull and shield symbol painted on the walls signals that the show respects the deep lore, referencing their ending slide in the first game. While they look a bit more like a biker gang here than the Mongol-inspired warriors of the game with their horned helmets, their presence signals that the show is taking the existing lore of the Mojave seriously. The Ghoul is busy reminiscing about buying a soda there 25 years ago from a woman named Darla, which is a funny little retcon of the game. Characters Cliff Briscoe and Jeannie Mae Crawford, while Lucy is trying to use Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, begging the raiders to just be nice and let them go. It perfectly captures their relationship. She's the optimist trying to force civilization on a lawless world, and he's the cynic who knows that whoever kills the girl gets to eat the dog. One of the Khans even mentions that the Ghoul has been terrorizing us Khans since before your granddaddies were born, which implies Cooper has been a menace in the Mojave for a very long time. And Hancho yells back, "Whoever kills the girl gets to eat the dog," while the Ghoul is screaming at her to just shoot them. When the shooting finally starts, we get the needle drop of the century, with Marty Robbins' Big Iron blasting over the slow motion violence. If you're a New Vegas fan, this song is practically your national anthem, and hearing it while the Ghoul pulls a grenade pin with his teeth and takes out raiders with a shotgun is just chef's kiss. We see him use a nebulizer with some yellow liquid to heal after looting it off Hancho's body, which might be a nod to the Stimpack diffuser from Fallout 76, or a new chem like Jet, showing his reliance on substances to survive. Lucy is trying to use VATS-style targeting to be non-lethal, shooting kneecaps, but she's still causing heads to explode, like she has the Bloody Mess perk, and she is also shooting people in the butt, proving that the Wasteland is slowly eroding her morality. The Ghoul knows it, telling her that her way isn't actually helpful because leaving people alive just means they come back for revenge later. As they look toward the glowing skyline of New Vegas, with the Lucky 38 looking much larger than it did in the game, the Ghoul drops the news that House's defense system saved the city, confirming the game's backstory. He shuts down Lucy's hope that her dad is safe there, saying, "There was no they, there was a him," implying he has a serious personal beef with House, likely involving his wife, Barb, and looking at her like she is crazy for thinking her dad would go there. Speaking of Barb, we get a crucial flashback of Cooper Howard meeting with Moldaver at Rita's Cafe, which is a location mentioned only by name in the game, and looks like a pre-war version of the places we loot. We see his daughter playing Whack-A-Kami, using a padded mallet to smash moles wearing Soviet hats with red stars and carrying hammers, which is a hilarious bit of propaganda world building pulled from the Fallout 4 Nuka World DLC and Fallout 76. Moldaver drops the truth. House is building a private missile system, and Barb is selling him cold fusion tech. She wants Cooper to assassinate House, playing on his conscience by telling him that fame is a rare kind of power that gets him into rooms she can't access, telling him to play nice so he can tag along. You can see the conflict in Walton Goggins' eyes. He loves his family, but he is horrified by what they are part of. He drives home in his convertible, listening to "Make the World Go Away" by Eddie Arnold, seeing billboards of himself advertising Vault-Tec safety, with the slogan, "You never know until it's too late," while knowing the end is coming. We even spot a Vault-Tec salesman walking through the neighborhood who looks exactly like the guy from the Fallout 4 intro, right down to the trench coat and hat, implying a strict company dress code. And hear a radio broadcast mentioning West-Tec stocks are up due to a new skincare line, which is a dark joke since West-Tec creates the FEV virus. Heath is the face of the apocalypse he's desperately trying to stop, while comforting his terrified daughter. Back in the present, the duo tracks Hank following his bloody footprints to a corpse literally stomped in half by power armor, and end up at a roadside stand run by a flea soup lady built under a pile of old cars. Yes, Lucy eats the bug soup while fleas jump on her face because she is adapting, and Ella Purnell is somehow charming even when guzzling bugs. The lady reveals Hank killed her son, saying she doesn't care that he's dead. She only cares that the cocksucker owed her money. and the ghoul is right there to remind her that justice in the Wasteland usually comes from the barrel of a gun, asking her what exactly she plans to do when she catches him, since she is so opposed to violence. This leads them to the Starlight Drive-In, a location technically from Fallout 4, found in the Commonwealth near Boston, where you can build a settlement. But since it is a chain, it makes sense to see one here, and it fits perfectly. Seeing the ruined screen and the cars filled with skeletons is just hauntingly beautiful in that special Fallout way. The marquee shows Cooper's movie, A Man and His Dog 3, alongside Midnight Science Fiction feature, which is a nod to the Old World Blues DLC. The ghoul is walking through the ruins of his own legacy, and even finds a toy mole from the arcade game his daughter played 200 years ago, which he pockets in a heartbreaking moment. Inside, specifically behind the screen, they find the entrance to Vault 24, which is a deep cut because it was cut content from the New Vegas game files. It turns out this vault was running experiments on turning Americans into communists using brainwashing and those mind control chips. It's a dark twist on the usual patriotic propaganda, featuring corpses in red jumpsuits with yellow stars reminiscent of the Chinese Red Army hats seen in Fallout 3's Operation Anchorage DLC. There are Mandarin audio recordings about the individual being the enemy of the collective. They find a room full of corpses, hooked up to projectors, which is very Clockwork Orange, and shows just how twisted Vault-Tech's social experiments were. They find a fresh corpse with an exploded head, proving Hank is testing the tech. The encounter with the Soup Lady's son, who has been turned into a puppet by Hank sitting behind a medical curtain and screams "Sugar Bomb" at Lucy, triggered because the ghoul picks up a box of Sugar Bomb cereal that offers 100% of your daily sugar intake, before exploding, covering Lucy in gore, is terrifying and forces Lucy to accept that her dad is a monster. There is also a trippy moment where the ghoul hallucinates his old friend Roger on the gurney, telling him to fix everything, proving his mental state is deteriorating. Hank also removed the DV Arch drive so they couldn't access data, showing how ruthless he's getting, leaving a trail of bodies, including a guy ripped in half. Meanwhile, the B-plot in the vaults is absolute chaos. Vault 33 is dealing with a water chip failure, a lovely nod to the plot of Fallout 1, where the vault dweller has to leave to find a replacement, and they are relying on backup systems. But the comedy comes from the products of inbreeding support group, trying to get a snack budget while It's All Over But the Crying by the Ink Spots plays in the background. We hear Marianne ramble about her fifth cousins being fourth cousins, which is uncomfortably funny. Vault 32 is being run by Stephanie Harper like a dictatorship. She's peeling oranges aggressively with a knife and naming her baby Chet Jr. just to torture poor Chet, devastating him because that was his father's name, who died in the Weevil famine. She is treating him like a glorified babysitter, refusing to give him a job assignment, and forcing him to care for her child, whom she hasn't even named, yet referring to him only as it. And she asks if he's good with computers, hinting she might need help hacking something later. We also see residents like Davey complaining that the vault layout is reversed compared to 33, specifically mentioning left turns instead of right turns. But the real MVP is Norm in Vault 31. Trapped with Bud Askins, the brain on a Roomba claiming to be the greatest achievement in the history of vertical integration, Norm refuses to be frozen or composted after finding only an empty spray can to eat. Instead of accepting a lethal injection, he hacks the system and thaws out all the frozen middle managers. It's a catastrophic move that turns Vault 31 into a corporate Lord of the Flies, because now you have dozens of brainwashed Vault-Tech loyalists waking up all at once with no resources and no plan. And I cannot wait to see the fallout, pun intended, of that decision. Finally, we catch up with Hank MacLean in a pristine Vault-Tech facility in Vegas, listening to Working for the Man and drinking coffee like Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks, because nobody enjoys a damn fine cup of coffee like he does. He's reporting for duty to someone, presumably House, saying he wants to pick up where you all left off, explicitly mentioning that he is in the old stomping grounds. He reveals he's integrating a miniaturized version of the mind control chip, explicitly calling it a brain-computer interface, which means the endgame here isn't just survival, it is total control. He's talking about wanting a promotion, while playing with a red and blue yo-yo after checking his 462,311 unread messages, surrounded by severed ghoul heads labeled as test subjects, proving he has been busy experimenting on the locals in a biolab. The stakes are massive. If they get that chip working, they can enslave the Wasteland, including the NCR and the Brotherhood, without firing a shot. The production design here is incredible, nailing the retro-futuristic decay with neon lights, crumbling art deco, googie architecture, and specific font on the terminals. I even paused during Cooper's flashback just to admire his pre-war yellow kitchen, because it pops so much compared to the dusty Wasteland. Before we wrap up, we have to talk about that insane montage at the very end, which acts as a teaser for the rest of the season, because it is packed with blink and you miss it reveals. We see Maximus piloting a vertibird, implying he is rising in the ranks of the Brotherhood, despite Dane's warning that the Commonwealth might kill them all, and Thaddeus looking ghoulified while drinking with some Wasteland kids who chant, "Most pigs are dead by this age." There is also a terrifying shot of a massive creature that looks like a Mirelurk king, or maybe a swamp folk mutant screaming in a dark tunnel, which would be a terrifying new enemy type for the show, and a billboard featuring Cooper Howard, with the ominous slogan, "You never know," which feels like a threat given what we know now. It looks like the Brotherhood of Steel is going to war with knights charging across the sand, and we are going to see a lot more of the factions fighting for control of the Mojave. The show is setting up a season about control versus chaos, and with Justin Theroux's menacing house and Walton Goggins' tragic ghoul, we are in for a wild ride. The dual casting of House suggests a prestige-style body double situation, or a great and powerful Oz dynamic. The credits even tour the Mojave, showing us Prim with the Bison Steve Hotel and the El Diablo roller coaster, which is inspired by the real Buffalo Bills casino, the Vicky and Vance casino, and the Lucky 38. We even see a Mojave Express building, referencing the courier service from the game. Honestly, if this premiere is any indication, Season 2 is going to be darker, weirder, and even better than the first. I'm ready to let it ride on black, because in New Vegas, the house always wins.